So I grew up in a small town in country Queensland called Roma. I grew up with my two brothers and two sisters and my single mum. You know, she was amazing through the growing up. You know, we didn't always see eye to eye, but you know, she taught me the fundamentals of life. You know, the morals and the values that you actually grow up with. My mum had a tenacity like I don't think I've ever met in anybody. Like, you know, like even just putting the grocery bills through on a weekly basis with someone like me in the household. Mum sort of showed a work ethic that, you know, it may not be pretty. You might have to do the things that, you know, other people didn't want to so that you can get ahead in certain aspects. I was sitting in my living room as a 20-year-old. The block auctions came up and, you know, the auctioneer came in strutting his stuff with his suit on, and I'm like, ooh, I like the look of that. I like this. I had a mate in real estate at the time on the Gold Coast, and you know, I think it was about 10 o'clock at night and I just rang him out of the blue, and we ended up being on the phone for about an hour and a half just talking all things real estate. And when he said to me that property's not about the bricks and mortar, it's about the people you meet and the backstory that they had, that's what resonated the most with me. Obviously coming from a competitive background like rugby league, you get to love the things that you don't like. You know, in rugby league they say that taking a hit up out of your own end is, you know, no one wants to do it, but you can tell a lot about the person that does do it. I think you're only as good as your word. If you do say that you're going to do something and you don't do it, then, you know, you'll get found out pretty easily in this industry, and that's something I've sort of built my business on, is just do what you say you're going to do. For me, I didn't like the idea that I actually, you know, might walk into a listing presentation, or I might walk in with a client that I've never met before, and there's already a preconceived idea as to who I am because of who I work for. You know, they might have had a bad experience 15 years ago with the agency I worked for in Sydney, and, you know, inadvertently it affects me in the way I do business today. So the franchise model it's gone to a level that, you know, it makes it unfeasible to do this as a job. You know, when I was growing up, you know, you had your GP, you had your veterinarian, you had your coffee shop that you go to, and you had your real estate agent. And majority of the times you had their numbers in your phones or the number on the fridge, and you know, I think that's something that's been lost. I think that, you know, you don't have that sort of relationship with your clientele, that you are their go-to. You know, and that's something we want to create. We want to be our clients' go-to. It may be to sell their property. It may be just to ask what something's sold down the road. It might be anything to do with property. We want to be their GP. We want to be the one that looks after them. So we don't expect you to come to our office to sign a contract. You know, if you need to put the kids to bed at 6 p.m. at night, you know, we expect that you'd call us at 7 o'clock and say, hey, can you come by at 7 o'clock to sign the contract? We are definitely a very consumer-focused type of company, whether in all facets of the transaction, before it, during it, and well beyond it. UrbanX is something that's very fresh to a lot of people, and we're using our background for all of our support, really a blessing in disguise. They allowed me to focus on the things that, as a business owner, you need to focus on. You know, we went to them with the concept of what we wanted, and you know, to see what they did with it and how they turned around, you know, it was really amazing, and you know, it's got us to where we are. I don't think we would have been able to have the early success that we've had we not had the support of UrbanX. I sort of always operated on the belief that once a property settles, that's the start of a flourishing relationship, and I don't think there is a client that I've sold for that I haven't built a very good personal relationship with. You know, I'm a big believer in getting to know them and, you know, their families and their kids, and you know, there's a number of times where we've had dinner with these clients. The relationships you build with people are everlasting. You know, you ask questions of buyers. You say, what, you know, buying this home, what would it mean to you? What does it give you and your family? Like, I've had people say that, you know, it lets dad come home. Yeah, well, you see your journey in so many different people. It's like anything, you know, you're only as good as your last result or your last client experience. And we want everyone to have an 11 out of 10 experience with Eastell & Co. So.